For decades, many people at the grassroots of the Catholic Church have known that our Church is in urgent need of reform. In 1995, in Austria, when Cardinal Colm was accused of sexual abuse, more than 500,000 Austrians signed 5 important goals. In a country as small as Austria, we had 8 million inhabitants there. The protest vote was nationwide organized without the support of the official church. And on the contrary, they slandered us. And with little money, without computers, and without mobile phones. This was the start of the protest movement We Are Church, and many other countries followed suit. Germany was next with about 2 million signatures. Today, millions of people around the world support these goals. If the church leadership had reacted to this outcry at that time, we and they would have all been spared a lot. Nevertheless, we have been repeating and fighting for our goals regularly and vehemently ever since. Will they begin to recognize us and finally respond, and finally make the church a better place, a better home, more humanitarian? Anyway, we are church, and we want to be the church we want to see. We try.
Our first goal is shared decision making. All believers are of equal value and equal worth. The divide between people with and without priestly ordination must be overcome. Only in this way can the diversity of talents and charisms be fully realized again. People without priestly ordination must be equally represented at all levels and in all church committees, and have a say in decision-making through appropriate democratic structures. We need written rights for all believers, a church constitution, separation of powers, decentralized decision-making, and fair procedures. The church leadership must justify its decisions with transparency and accountability. The local churches must have a say in the appointment of bishops and be able to co-decide. Bishops should be those who enjoy the trust of the people.
Our second goal is for full equality for all genders. We urgently demand access for all genders to all ecclesiastical ministries, including the ordained ministry. The exclusion of women and LGBTQ+ people from church offices cannot be justified biblically. The church can no longer do without the wealth of skills and life experiences of women and non-binary people. This also applies to leadership positions and all sacramental acts.
Our third goal is a free choice between a celibate and non-celibate lifestyle. The link between the ordained ministry and the celibate way of life is not biblical and dogmatically binding, but has grown historically and can therefore be changed. The right of congregations to celebrate the Eucharist and provide leadership is more important than a canonical regulation. The theology of the current ordination of priests is not comprehensible and creates clericalism and a sacral exaggeration of the functions and the person exercising them. A different form of ordination must be developed.
Our fourth goal is positive evaluation of sexuality as an important part of human beings created and affirmed by God. The responsible decision of conscience in question of sexual morality, e.g. conception, regulation and sexual identity and orientation, must be recognized. Blanket condemnation, e.g. in relation to premarital relationships or in questions of queer identity, must have no place in a community that is committed to love of neighbor. The natural law of bisexuality and Catholic sexual morality must be cancelled and adapted to modern scientific findings. The Vatican must fully support the Universal Declaration of Human Rights promoting gender equality and gender justice and must not insist on the ideology of difference and complementarity between men and women.
Our goal number 5, good news instead of a threatening message. Our Christian message prioritizes helping and encouraging support and solidarity over fear-inducing and restrictive norms. What is largely happening at church community level should also be demanded of church pronouncements, namely when dealing with persons in difficult situations, for example, remarried divorcees, married priests without ministry, or people in the LGBTQIA+ community. There must be understanding and willingness to reconcile and encourage, instead of merciless harshness and severity.